Well, there's fresh news of pain in the financial markets from the mutual fund end. The NBFCs continue to say that they are not receiving any money from banks for the inevitable asset liability mismatch because of the moratorium granted to their borrowers. The stock markets are reflecting the pain of the financials. A lot has been done. There's no taking away from that. Just let us remember, it was only on March 25th and 26th that the overnight money in the market, the repo rate was going at 5.15. Today, overnight money, even according to the policy rate, is 3.75. I mean, that's a huge, almost 150 basis point policy rate cut. And then if you go to the actual overnight money, which is in the tripartite repo, the TREPS, then it's as low as 2%. So cost of money has fallen by 300 basis points. Money is as cheap as 2%. But it is not available to those who most need it, as is very obvious, which is why you have so many people seeking redemptions, because corporates want money. They have no revenues. So where does this leave us in terms of the next steps? From the regulator, has he fired all his bullets? Does the RBI have more bullets? And what next from the fisc if the Reserve Bank is reaching a dead end on some issues? To answer these questions, I have with me three people who are eminently familiar with the topic. I have two former bankers first. Srini Varadarajan, who was formerly heading the Deputy Managing Director at Axis Bank, and Anant Narayan, who was formerly with Deutsche Bank, Citibank, and Standard Chartered banks as well. I've called former bankers because current bankers are a little wary of saying why they did not put money in the TLTRO. That's why I have former bankers. And then I have someone who can speak for regulators and for the industry. For both regulators, SEBI and RBI, I have with me former Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank, Mr. H.R. Khan. Gentlemen, thank you very much. There is a lot of pain and there is a lot of ask, and therefore what you say will be seminal. Let me come to you, Srini, first. The TLTRO, the targeted long-term repo, which was announced by the Reserve Bank and launched this week, has not found takers. Only 50% of the money has been taken by the banks. What is the message from that? What tweaks are needed?
Lata, if you look at that TLTRO, whether it is 1.0 or 2.0, I don't think so it is doing much as far as corporate bonds are concerned, especially for NBFCs. If you look at the list of people who have got money through the TLTRO, they would have got money anyway. And if you look at what the RBI governor said in the last conference, where they lowered the reverse repo rate, they said there's so much money coming to us that we need to lower this rate. So price is not an issue because the liquidity is available with banks. They are not willing to lend beyond a certain set of participants. So whether it is a liquidity which they have with themselves or which comes through a TLTRO, the money goes to the same set of people. So it's a question of risk appetite and what sort of risk banks in the current environment are willing to take.
But, let me first get a fix on the problem as well. As Srini is pointing out, it is not the availability of money. Some people are not getting it, irrespective of the cost and the availability. Some people are just not getting it. Ananta, first, can that be fixed? Because if 12,500 crore has been borrowed instead of 25,000, banks appear to be telling us that we can't find enough worthy candidates, investment grade candidates in the smaller MFIs and NBFCs. Do you think one straightforward answer is to remove all these divisions, then more people, then the banks will have taken the money? What tweaks can you suggest?
I think, Lata, let's start with what the objective of TLTRO is. The problem, as you rightly mentioned, is that some sections of the economy which are critical are not getting access to funds. Let's start with the sectors you mentioned, the MFIs, the microfinance institutions, and some non-bank finance companies. They're struggling to raise money. Why is that important? It's important not just because they're individual names, but because it's a very, very interconnected system. Banks, NBFCs, mutual funds, pension funds, etc., and the real economy. So if one big chunk of that starts to falter, the entire ecosystem can be a problem. So the intent is, let's try and push money into these sectors. Why isn't money going from banks to these sectors? There is no shortage of liquidity. Rates are also very attractive. They're willing to pay very good rates at this point in time. The problem is there is a risk aversion amongst bankers because there is a question mark about the asset quality of some of these borrowers. There's also a question mark of how COVID-19 will impact some of these borrowers. And these are tough questions to answer. So if you are sitting with this trust deficit and this fear, no amount of cheap liquidity can make you lend to these people. So at a time like this, unfortunately, which is completely out of syllabus, somebody has to step in and say, you know what, I'm going to provide to you the credit comfort for you to lend to these people. Now, this is not prescribed in any standard textbook, unfortunately, because these are unusual times. It's very difficult for the RBI to step in and provide that credit comfort in toto. It can provide liquidity, it can lower rates, which it's doing. But taking on credit comfort beyond the point probably has to be the call of the government, because it will eventually have to use taxpayer money for this. So, we had a playbook for this in 2009, Lata, where the RBI and the government of India put together an SPV, which was allowed to buy corporate bonds issued by NBFCs for short periods of time in order to take on credit risk at a time the market was not giving them the credit risk, and provide liquidity and funding to those institutions. That fund was never utilized because things, got set by themselves. But something like that is required now, where an extra party comes in and offers the credit comfort, which the system is not willing to take.
Okay. Well, I think we've got Srini back on the line. So, Mr. Khan, before I come to you for solutions, you have to provide them. You are the regulator in this group. But let me extend the problem beyond NBFCs. I mean, one of the reasons why companies like Franklin Templeton have a problem is that those who are giving them money to invest are a little worried about some of the investments they are making, especially in NBFCs. So, Srini, if you can just delineate, can this problem get a little out of hand now? Because it's not just with NBFCs, now it is expanding to the MFs also. So, can you give us an idea of how bad this can get, or not terrible, but just an idea of whether the problem is bigger than just NBFCs?
And the system is interconnected, right? So basically, if you just sort of extrapolate the situation where people lose some amount of trust and faith in debt mutual funds, and other mutual funds also see redemptions, and they are forced to sell paper, say a AA paper or whatever, credit starts widening, and therefore that contagion sort of can spread. So it is important to arrest the whole issue by providing liquidity by someone willing to take the risk. Exactly as Anant was saying, you need someone to intermediate the credit risk today. Banks have never been an investor in corporate bonds, other than our 2-3 banks and some foreign banks. They have never been an investor in corporate bonds. You can't expect them today to come and buy all the corporate bonds which someone wants to sell. So the buyer is either an FI who is right now in exit mode, or there is no. I think the whole thing of trying to have a large portfolio and trying to sort of manage redemptions today is difficult. So there has to be an intermediary who's intermediating the credit risk here, and that is something which we desperately need today to make sure that the contagion doesn't spread.
So what are you saying? You think the government should announce a first loss? Who is the intermediary?
I think what Anand was saying, you set up an SPV, government provides equity, and that clearly, I don't think so. The issue a question of loss here. I think most of these credits will ultimately end up being paid back. It is a question of today, if you want a buyer, I think that buyer is not there. You need to manage the situation today by providing some credit backstop and therefore liquidity. And it is in my view, we are making the problem bigger than what it is actually.
Okay. Well, Mr. Khan, we spoke to AMFI as well, the Association of Mutual Funds. So, I'll tell you some of the solutions that they want immediately. AMFI wants the RBI to announce a line of credit. That's it. Bankers who said that they did not invest in the TLT, second TLTRO, said that if a first loss is provided by the government for NBFCs and small MFIs, we may be still willing. NBFCs have been asking for the moratorium to be available to them. These are the three primary asks. You think this can be easily granted by Reserve Bank? And of course, first loss by the fisc?
I think the menu of options you have indicated have to be looked at very closely, and there is nothing wrong at looking at them very closely, as both my fellow panelists have said that these are unusual times. So we have to look for unusual and unconventional solutions. So for the line of credit and up to NBFC is concerned, in the past we have given in the past crisis through the bank. So that is already playbook is available. Fast loss is something everyone is talking, not only for NBFCs but also for SME borrowers, and enhancing the credit guarantee component which is available with SIDBI. And third is in terms of moratorium, which is a fair ask, because not many of them are in a position to issue papers which will meet the investment criteria, nor they can issue at this current juncture any corporate paper. The fourth option, to my mind, would be create some market making in corporate bond market. So how do we create that market making, which some of us have been pleading for quite some time, and in fact for once it looked that RBI is going to accept that. That is creating a long-term repo operations involving corporate debt. And there, once there are market members, they know that there is a backup provided by the central bank. I think that will provide a lot of vibrancy to the corporate bond market. So that long-term repo in corporate bond market will provide that sort of a backstop and provide some facility to some of the market makers who will come forward, and there will be some activity in the secondary market in corporate. So these are some of the options one has to look at. Okay. But going forward, the major issue as...
Mr. Khan, yeah. Mr. Khan, 1 minute. Mr. Khan, 1 minute. I do want, going forward, what steps RBI should take, but I have not been able to quite get my hand around why is the RBI so wary, for that matter even SBI, of allowing moratorium for NBFCs. Why is there so much to and fro? March 27th it was announced, still not resolved. What's so big about granting them?
I don't know what is the conversations going on between the bankers, IBA and RBI. But my sense is that possibly RBI is thinking, since they are getting LTRO, they should not get it. But as you have seen, LTRO is not really working that well, and it may not help some of those NBFCs and MFIs who don't get that paper, and there is a lot of risk aversion, as Anant has mentioned. So I think in addition to that, this moratorium, back-to-back moratorium is something which has to be considered, and considered early. I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, we have to take a break. It's only a minute. We are back, and we're going to continue the conversation with the three veterans and check out a short list that can easily and immediately be done by the regulator and by the government.